Hello, and thank you for watching this video. We will discuss Center Weather Service Unit products. Center Weather Service Unit products, of course, are products that are issued by the Center Weather Service Unit. The Center Weather Service Units are located at Air Route Traffic Control Centers, ARTCCs. And ARTCCs, or centers, handle the air traffic over large airspaces. And typically they handle IFR traffic and also participating VFR traffic. At each center, there is a meteorological group called the Center Weather Service Unit, and those meteorologists there coordinate with air traffic controllers. They provide them with updates as far as weather information, and also they're the central or focal weather point for that airspace, as well as they handle all of the pilot reports that are coming in from aircraft that are talking to center controllers. There are two products that are issued by Center Weather Service Units. Those are the Center Weather Advisory, or CWAs, and the Meteorological Impact Statement, or MIS. In this video, we'll talk about Center Weather Advisories. Center Weather Advisories, or CWAs, are aviation warnings to air crews that are flying in that airspace, in the center's airspace, and it tells those aircraft about the conditions, weather conditions that are meeting or approaching national in-flight advisory criteria. What that means is that there's hazardous weather that is approaching the criteria for issuing airmets, sigmets, and convective sigmets. Specifically, remember airmets were moderate turbulence and moderate icing, sigmets were severe turbulence, severe icing, and then convective segments, of course, are large thunderstorms. So in other words, when a center weather advisory is issued to the airspace, to air crews in that airspace, it's pretty hazardous weather.
This is used by flight crews to, before flight and also during flight. They are actually right over air traffic frequencies, and pilots will use it to, of course, avoid hazardous weather while flying en route or even in hub areas. The CWAs are valid for 2 hours. You can think of them as actually a nowcast, meaning that they're a very short forecast. And they tell you, what conditions are persisting, what kind of conditions there are, what kind of hazardous conditions. They may issue more CWAs as the weather phenomena continues or as it changes. So these may be issued more frequently, especially for convective weather. They can issue center weather advisories for thunderstorms, and of course thunderstorms change very rapidly, so you may see a CWA being issued every hour for changing weather conditions. So CWAs will come out if the Aviation Weather Center has not issued an advisory. And when we mean advisory, we're talking about airmets, sigmets, or convective sigmets. Sometimes they even precede an advisory. A lot of times the CWSU meteorologists will be consulting with the people down at the Aviation Weather Center. They'll ask them if they're going to put out a sigmet. If not, then the Center Weather Advisory or Center Weather Service Unit can put out a CWA. So either they come out before a sigmet or airmet comes out, or they may refine an existing advisory. Perhaps a sigmet's out for severe turbulence, and the center weather advisory can extend the area or maybe even the intensity. Also, it can highlight significant meteorological conditions that don't meet advisory criteria. Whenever the Center Weather Service Unit meteorologist thinks that they may adversely impact air traffic in the center's airspace, even though it may not be severe turbulence or severe icing, still, if it's moderate, it can affect air traffic, and it'd be good to let aircraft know. So here's all of the different criteria for center weather advisories, and these are similar to the criteria that they have for sigmets and also airmets. There's a few different ones here though. So some of the criteria are conditions that meet convective sigma criteria. Remember, we talked about the things that are required for convective sigma, and if those are conditions that are met in the center's airspace, they can issue a center weather advisory. Also, icing of moderate or greater intensity, turbulence of moderate or greater intensity, also heavy or extreme precipitation, and also freezing precipitation. Also, they can issue center weather advisories for conditions that are either low IFR or approaching low IFR. Also, if the winds are gusting more than 30 knots at the surface. Low-level wind shear can also be an advisory. They can issue center weather advisory. And then volcanic ash, dust storms, or sandstorms. Here's an example. This one's straight out of your book for center weather advisory. You could read through it, but it says this one's from Denver, ZDV. It's a center weather advisory 202, and it's valid until the third day at 2340. So it came out at 2140, so you can see it's a short forecast, just a 2-hour forecast. And it gives you this area around Farmington, New Mexico. It says isolated severe thunderstorms near Farmington moving northeastward at 10 knots. The tops of the storms are up to 41,000 feet and the wind gusts are up to 55 knots. And there could be hail to 1 inch in diameter. And they said it was reported at Farmington, and the severe thunderstorm is continuing beyond 2340. And that's the breakdown of the center weather advisory, the one that we just read. This is in your book. But here's one from Houston, and it shows this one is for low IFR conditions where ceilings are at or below 500 and visibility is occasionally below 1 mile in mist and fog overnight. It continues overnight. They say there's no updates.
Here's another example of a center weather advisory. This one is for Seattle Center, and it is a second one that was issued, and it's valid on the 8th day until 5 Zulu. A 2-hour forecast came out at 3:05 Zulu. And the area, as you can see, it's a rather small area that's just around the Portland hub, or Portland Airport. And it says that there's an area of occasional freezing rain from the surface up to 2,000 feet reported at Eugene and Portland, and they think that'll extend or continue beyond 5 Zulu. So freezing rain, of course, produces severe icing, so they want to get the word out that there is hazardous weather out there.
Where do you find center weather advisories? Go to the Aviation Weather Center webpage. Under Advisories, look for Center Weather, which is at the very bottom of that menu. And then that'll bring up this page, and you could just click on each center, and you'll find either the meteorological impact statement or the center weather advisory for each center.